Why do you think the idea is so frightening that, okay, we all could be
Oh,
one group of people?
oh, because pale, stale males are scared to death that people, particularly those that we call black and they aren't black, the melanaceous and melanotic males, are going to want to get even with white folks. Once the people of color get get into the numerical majority in this country, those who are going to be in the numerical minority, which means so-called white people, are going to have to take orders from those to whom they've been giving orders for the last 300 years in this country. What they don't realize is what I learned the first time I did that exercise, that when I went into my classroom that day and separated my students according to the color of their eyes, blue-eyed people were on the bottom, brown-eyed people were on the top, treated blue-eyed people the way we treat people of color in this country, treated brown-eyed people the way we treat white people, did that for Friday, watch horrible things happen. Reverse the exercise on Monday, and while the blue-eyed people were on the bottom on Friday, I went to listen to the boys' room, what the blue-eyed boys were saying in the boys' restroom, and they were talking about how they were going to get even with those brownies. We're going to get them, and they were talking about the awful things they were going to do to those brownies once they got on top. On Monday, I reversed the exercise, put the blue-eyed people on top, brown-eyed people on the bottom, and then I shuddered because I thought, this is going to be hell on wheels, and I've started it, and I've got to deal with it. The most amazing thing happened. Those blue-eyed kids did not get even with the brown-eyed kids. They were much kinder and gentler and accepting and less arrogant and did not exercise their power in ugly ways. And on Tuesday, before we discussed the exercise at all, each child had to write a 4-paragraph composition telling who Martin Luther King Jr. was, how the child felt on Friday, how the child felt on Monday, and what discrimination is. After they had finished their essays, we got in a circle, a magic circle, where you can say whatever you need to, and we'll deal with it. And I said to those kids, you blue-eyed boys said you were going to get even with the brownies when you got on top. You didn't get even. Why didn't you get even? And that year and every year after that, those kids said almost in a chorus, because we found out how it feels to be treated when you're on the bottom. We didn't want to make anybody feel as bad as we did. Now, if white people, if pale, stale males could just realize that people who consider themselves black don't want to get even, they just, unless I'm very much mistaken, they just want to get equitable treatment under the law. They want justice. They aren't craving for love. I would like to start a society, and in this society, I would say we're going to be you're going to get either love, you're going to be guaranteed one of two things: either we'll guarantee you love, or we'll guarantee justice. Now, if you get love, you might not get justice. If you get justice, you might not get love. And I've done this with groups of adults, and then I say to them, now, how many of you would vote to be guaranteed love? Maybe one or two hands go up very timidly, like, I don't want to do this. Well, then I say, how many of you want to be guaranteed justice? Every hand goes up. Because if you treat people unjustly, but say you love them, then you've created what we do in this country. If you treat people with love, but don't give them justice, we don't even do that in this country. We don't furnish love. We don't furnish justice, particularly to certain groups of people. You know it, I know it, but we aren't supposed to talk about it. And those of us who do talk about it have been banned on college and university campuses all over the United States. And I'm one of those who have been banned. Mark Twain's writing, the writings of Alice Walker, the writings of Dostoevsky, and several other people and Jane Elliot have been banned on college and university campuses because we are seen as causing embarrassment or shame in white folks. I'm not trying to shame white folks. I'm trying to educate people in such a way that they will behave in the present in a way that will make the future better for all of us, instead of behaving as we behaved in the past, which caused the problems we're having in this country today. Practically every problem that you have in this country, you can trace back to a racist idea or racist behaviors.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much for going into that and breaking that down. Now, I want to ask you, were you surprised that, I guess, the reactions from the children and the adults, were they similar or were they kind of different?
You mean during the exercise?
Yeah, yeah, because,
Oh,
adults sometimes they a little bit stuck in their ways and stuff.
oh, but I can't remember the author's name who wrote the book about uh, three ego states. We human beings have three ego states: child, parent, and adult. The minute you put adults into that blue-eyed, brown-eyed exercise, and I've done it over and over and over again, it works the same way every time. I get into my parent ego state, and that forces them into their child ego state. And the people, the adults, so-called adults, who go through that exercise become like third graders while they're in the exercise. They have no choice. The white people take on all the behaviors that my third graders exhibited when they were on the bottom. Inside every one of us, there's a child waiting to get out, and we try to keep it down until something happens that reminds our being of how that felt before, and they become what I accuse them of being. Now, in this country, we try to keep people who are other than what we call white in their child ego state. By we treat them as though our adult is out, and we force them to go into their child ego state. I see it happen all the time. Day before yesterday, I did a program, I think it was the World Trade Organization, a virtual program like this. And I described what I do and how it works and how grown-ups behave when they're in it. And then the person who was doing the thing had, after I was done speaking, she went around the room and had each person say one word that came to their mind after going through this little bit of unpleasantness. And they got to the middle of the room, the person who was the middle person, and they asked her, and she's a person of color. And I don't know what her background is, but her skin was not the color of mine, nor the color of yours. She's in the middle. And she said, I've learned that I'm not going to just sit back and take it anymore, or words to that effect. She said, I have been tired. I'm going to stop being tired. This will not be allowed to happen to me anymore. And the rest of them were just, wow, because here she is in a situation where she dares to say what she has never said before, because what she feels was being validated for her by an old white woman. Now, if I were an old black woman, I wouldn't be invited to speak. I'm only invited to speak because I'm old and I'm white, and people will listen to me because I'm white. Folks, I'm not white. I've never been white in my life. My shirt is white, my hair is white, my teeth used to be, but I'm not white, and you're not black. It's time for us to get over that. Human beings do not come in those colors. And I will say that over and over and over again until people get tired of hearing it. But you have to remember that if you have something for sale, people won't buy it unless they hear the advertisement at least 4 times. So you aren't going to believe it until I say, once again, there are no white, black, yellow, or red human beings on the face of the earth. We all come in shades of brown. And I guess it's out in the other room. Somebody said to me after we did that thing the other day, somebody said, why don't you have a sweatshirt with that message on it? And that hadn't occurred to me because I'm an old white woman, so that hadn't occurred to me. So I called my daughter, and she's going to have the person who does our sweatshirts make a sweatshirt on which it says, we're all shades of brown. And then we're going to have 4 different shades of brown on that sweatshirt, because that's what we are. We are all shades of brown. Now, I've said it 5 times now. Did I answer your question?